Welcome to another video, another 100 kill game, and in this one we got the Johnson rifle, the assault rifle, which we've obviously got the 10 bullets, and that absolutely super slow reload time, but we managed to get there was I think 119 kills on Provence Conquest. It's nice to get a few more 100 games on Provence because it's a really fun map to play. It's a bit like, I don't know if I'd say it's like Armage, but there's lots of close quarters infantry sections around this part of the map, on this side of the map, rather than the large open fields. And it brings, with 700 tickets, it brings a really good opportunity to get some 100 kill games on the obviously on the maps for the other Conquest rotation. So it's nice to see different maps other than obviously Underground, Armage, Rotterdam. But if you want to see the specializations for this weapon, remember that I've just released specializations videos for all the specializations that I use, and there's a playlist there, and you can also check the videos out. They've just been released in the last month, so there's 4 there for assault, support, scout, and obviously the medic class. But without further ado, I will try explain how to maneuver and move around this map, and how I'm using this weapon basically to and the play style you're going to use to maximize your kills and efficiency and have the best game possible. The site I'm using here, I think it's the Lati site, or maybe it's not the Lati site. I'm not sure what site it is, but this one, don't use this one. I tried started off using this one, and you'll see I changed it in the end to the 3x scope. Ultimately, this gun has got a really slow reload time. It's got very good bullet velocity, good damage, but that reload time, it just kills you, which is why this 100 kill game is pretty impressive, because you're spending more time reloading than you are shooting pretty much. But yeah, so this site was, I wanted to use it because it seemed like there was less recoil, but you'll see I just missed so many shots with it, and it becomes quite hard when you get at range. And so I changed the 3x scope, where my accuracy is going to drop, because the 3x scope has a bit more vertical recoil, and you'll end up thinking that you're going to hit a headshot. You'll see many times, and you'll end up shooting above their head, and you'll end up missing shots and probably get myself killed once or twice. But yeah, ultimately you just got to dump the mags once you get into the last few bullets, and just reload five round stripper clips to get the mags reloaded as quick as possible. So where is the biggest power position on this map? It's around obviously the middle, where that roundabout is, in the center of the map. I think it's C flag, or it's just opposite C flag where that house is, so it's in between. I can't see that. I'm not used to playing this map a lot, so I think it's A flag. Basically, where the church is and where C flag is, by that roundabout, there's a house, which is pretty much on the highest point mid-map. You want to basically use that house as much as possible as your power position. It gives you the height advantage, being able to see everyone coming from the church over A flag. You can see you've got the height advantage over everyone who's on C, and obviously coming in from the fields. And the further flags that are further out on the map, and obviously depends which side you're on, you could see people coming from this side of the map where I am now, if you are obviously spawning on the other side at the start of the game. But ultimately you want to use that house, defend it as much as possible as your power position, and because this is the center of the map, it's where most of the enemies are going to be. Because the fields are so open, you won't find many people over there. You have to stay on this side of the map if you want to maximize your kills. This is where everyone's going to be. No one's going to end up running over in all the big fields, and if you go over there, you're probably going to encounter tanks and vehicles, so it's not going to be any fun for you. And even if you are in a vehicle, you don't want to go out there either, because you're not going to find any enemies when all the players are obviously over here. So right now, as you can see, the enemy's taken almost all of our flags, apart from A flag, which I think we've got, which is in their spawn. Somehow we still managed to get that. So I'm literally just sitting a little bit further back, making sure I'm utilizing obviously the Johnson rifle's range and accuracy. No point in running in against SMGs and shotguns with this assault rifle or semi-auto rifle. So just sticking at range and just trying to pick off as many of the enemies who are trying to push forward as possible until you clear enough of them out, so that you can then push forward and capture your flag and try to push back towards mid-map to use that power position again, where you can maximize amount of kills you can potentially get in the game. Just another note to make there. Obviously, this is a very Call of Duty-like map on this side of the side of the map, because there's obviously like 3 lanes. You've got the right lane, the middle lane here, and you've got the left lane. Obviously, they're all very narrow corridors, pretty much. So you want to make sure you're utilizing, as always, in any ways, but make sure you're leaning as much as possible, because these are very linear pathways. It's very easy for you to get picked off by snipers who are just camping, watching these lanes, or just semi-auto rifles, anything, basically, anyone watching these lanes, basically. So you need to lean around the corners as much as possible, and make sure you're showing as little amount of your body as possible to the enemy. And obviously, it's just a good habit to build, making sure you're leaning all the time, because you're only ever showing your head pretty much then when you're leaning around the corner. So obviously, ultimately, you want to be moving between A flag, so the church, C flag, the house down by there, and the house which is on my left here. You want to make sure you don't push the church too hard if you're attacking from the British side, I think it is, or maybe it's the Americans now if they've in the latest update. So if you're on the American side, you want to make sure you don't push the church too hard, because you don't want to obviously get the spawn trap and potentially end the game early if you are going for high kills. And obviously you need to keep an eye on C flag, because the enemies will pretty much capture the flags which are out towards the fields. So I think that's D flag and E flag, and they will come and capture C. So essentially you need to be watching. So if you're spawning on the American side, you need to be watching from the middle of the house. You'll be watching every enemy pushing from the church. If you do push towards the church, you then need to push back towards C flag, with the enemies then pushing from D flag and E flag out from the fields, once you manage to get them in a spawn trap if you capture the A flag on the church.
Objective Charlie is being taken by the enemy.
So as you can see there, we're on 66 kills by the 25-minute mark. If you're going for a 100 kill game, the rule I've always gone by is you're on for a 100 kill game if you're at the 50 kill mark when there's 30 minutes left in the game. So that's about 15 minutes gone, 50 kills. That's typically what I say, because a good well-balanced game should normally last close to half an hour. So even if you're going pretty slow, 50 kills by the 30-minute mark is typically what you want to know. You'll know if you're on track for a 100 kill game then. And obviously that upper range where you know you're doing really well is when you're getting close to 65, 70 kills by the 30-minute mark. You know, obviously you're probably on then for a 120 plus kill game. So if you're on 30 kills by the 50-minute mark, you can pretty much forget about the 100 kill game, unless you suddenly go on an absolute rampage for 10 minutes without dying. But so yeah, basically 50 kills by the 30-minute mark for a 100 kill game. So same again, but here we're not using the main house, which is further up on the hill. We're using that house just by there as our power point, just to make sure our power position because we can't push forward to the other house at the moment because the enemies are pushing quite hard. But ultimately, you need to use the houses in this map as much as possible because the enemies won't focus on you as much. You've got cover, and you can just keep picking off the enemies, and you know, you've got 32 teammates on your team, and the enemies are essentially just going to be focusing on shooting your teammates rather than you who is in the house. So if you stick to the houses, the enemies aren't going to focus on you as much, they'll focus on your teammates, and it just gives you an opportunity to go for free kills, basically. Well, not free kills, but, you know, they're not going to focus on you. You can go, you don't have to get into gunfights, and you stay alive longer, you get more kills. And this is where it gets annoying. Using the Johnson rifle, I'm having to switch to use my pistol. There's so many enemies there, there's so many potential kills to get, and I'm gonna have to, well, one, I've run out of ammo, and two, even if I had ammo, I'd have to reload, and it would take ages, by which point all my teammates would have taken all the kills. So, this is where it becomes very annoying using a gun like a Johnson rifle, the slow reload time.
Appreciate it.
And as you can see, finally we've managed to make it to the house, this is the house I've been talking about the whole game that you want to get to and just hold as much as possible, because it just gives you the advantage of seeing the enemies coming from pretty much all different areas of the map, no matter which side you spawn on at the start and where your spawn is. It's the best power position in the game to just attack everyone. And as you can see, that height advantage there is very beneficial looking down towards the flag at sea, because the enemies who think they can use that wall as cover, well, obviously you can see over it, and so they're just sitting ducks, sat there, waiting for you to take the kills.
There are enemy forces at Baker.
Explosives are in place.
Lost control of objective Baker.
Charges set.
Another thing to take note of is you can see that I'm just reloading and cancelling the reload with just putting 5 bullets in. It just gives you the chance to pick off that extra enemy really quickly, and just obviously just remember you can cancel the reload. I think when you're reloading individual bullets, there's a glitch with this gun and it'll fire off 2 rounds. I can't remember how you get it to do that, but it might be quite useful. If an enemy comes around the corner while you're reloading, you can fire 2 shots off, potentially get a kill or do enough damage to then go in for the melee kill. But yeah, remember obviously that you can just reload 5 bullets and go for a kill. Yeah, I'm going to reload the full mag. So coming towards the end of this game now, just obviously pushing in on A flag, taking a death, but ultimately we pushed the enemies back to A flag for the end of the game, and just picking off as many kills as possible, basically. And this is where I was saying earlier, once you pushed A flag, that normally enemies are going to go towards C flag. So this is where you can see, look, they're all running back from C flag over to the mid map towards B, or coming back to get their own flag at A again. So this is where I say you need to stay around that mid map, because this is where all the enemies are. And if you do go to A, you're going to need to run straight back to C. But yep, there's not much other than that. It's basically stay around the middle of the map, A flag, C flag and B flag. You just want to stay in the middle. That's where all the enemies are going to be. Basically on this side, this half of the map. Forget the other half of the map. Play this map as if you'd play it on Team Deathmatch or whatever, with the same boundaries. And that's where you'll find the most amount of enemies, the most amount of potential kills. And you'll do very well. So that's the game. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll get the next 100 game out soon.
Warriors around, don't get caught in the mosh pit. Fuel to the fire, ain't nobody can stop it. Trouble in my city, but you know I'm across it. Got a 40 on my hip and I'm liable to spark it. Throw down these hits, my click is indivisible. I aim, you duck, I squeeze, now you invisible. I'm not afraid of getting physical. All these different chemicals are fogging up my visuals.